Hello, and welcome back to Figurine Friday with Johnny Tiger on June 16, 2023. And yes, we have Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles opening our show for us for today. Yesterday I did not get to our Toy Thursday in time. I don't know if you guys realize this, but Toy Thursday, out of all my daily videos, Toy Thursday segments are the longest, the most involved. Usually take 2 to 3 hours for me to get it produced. In addition to the episode itself being very long to begin with, I also have to have the time to sit down and research, find inspiration on which figure I want to talk about, which character I want to talk about, and also find that figure amongst my almost 1,000 action figures, and find all the accessories if I can, and find a way to talk about them and refresh my memory about the character. So this is to say, unless I know I'm going to have an uninterrupted 2 to 3 hours to myself, I don't even try to attempt. I don't even attempt Toy Thursday. It's just uh, kind of stressful if I have to rush. And honestly, a lot of time, by the time I'm done with Toy Thursday, I'm usually in a bit of a huff and a little bit of a foul mood because it's kind of stressful trying to put it all together and then find the action figure, make sure that they don't get broken during the video, and then get them put back to where they came from afterwards. So today we are celebrating Sea Turtle Day, the World Sea Turtle Day. Uh, I did not know that there's even a World Sea Turtle Day until I was reading up on it earlier. Uh, This is celebrated on June 16th of every year, and it's set on June 16th because June 16th was the birthday of one of the most influential marine biologists, the sea turtle biologist in modern history. His name is, was Archie Carr. Archie Carr was born in 1909, and he's one of the most influential, most prolific sea turtle biologists in the world, and he has done a whole lot to help conserve and protect these wonderful creatures. In 1959, he established the uh, Sea Turtle uh, Conservancy organization that their goal is to protect sea turtles and educate people about them. And Archie Carr remained the president of Sea Turtle Conservancy until his death at 1987. He is also responsible for establishing the Archie Carr Wildlife uh, Refuge in Florida, which is one of the very few sites in the world for green turtles to come and hatch their egg and uh, lay their eggs and be protected. So yeah, this guy has done a lot for sea turtles. And while I do not actually have anything sea turtle related, you might action figure collection. Isn't that crazy? Like you would think that I have around 1,000 action figures, I would find something that's kind of sea turtle like, but no. I did my best to look for it, but there's nothing. There's nothing like even remotely sea turtle related. But we do have Ninja Turtles, so I guess that's almost as good. So we're going to look at one of the Ninja Turtle character today, but we are not going to look at Leonardo or Raphael or Donatello or Michelangelo. We are going to look at the fifth turtle, aka Slash. Now, Slash was my favorite Ninja Turtle toy. when I was little, back in 1990, 1989, made by Playmates. I don't know if some of you remember those early Ninja Turtle toys. For $3, $4, you could get a Ninja Turtle uh, loaded down with accessories. Yeah, their articulation sucked, but they were really cool for their time. And Slash was my favorite. Uh, Primarily because he looked so different from the other turtles. And also, he was loaded with weapons. I remember the first Slash action figure I got, he must have had like four different weapons. Like I remember he had a like spiky nunchuck kind of thing, and then he had a sword, and he had a big spiky mace, a flail thingy, and a couple of throwing shurikens, I believe. But more so than the accessories, just the action figure itself was so cool. Like it kind of like the turtle, the Ninja Turtles, but it looked so beastie and primal and almost evil and barbaric in a way, with all the spikes and his sharp fangs and claws and all that stuff going on. So uh, it's one of the characters and figures I remember really, really fondly from my childhood. So when Neca took over the uh, well, they didn't take over, but when NECA started producing Ninja Turtle action figures, and I heard that they were going to come up with a Slash action figure in the Turtle in Time video game figure line, I was eager to get this turtle on my shelf just for childhood's sake. Now, I will say this really quick. For those of you that also a fan of Slash, this is probably not the one that you want to get. Okay, I love this figure, but when I got this Slash, it was the only one that NECA produced. That was in the early days of NECA Ninja Turtle action figure line, when this like back in like 2018, 2019, and some of us were not sure if NECA would even follow through with making more Ninja Turtles. As some of you collectors, you know what I'm talking about. NECA has this tendency to maybe make four or five figures from a property and then ditch it, and then you end up with the incomplete collection. So I thought this was going to be the only Slash they would make, so I grabbed it uh, immediately. But if you are a Slash fan, they've since made at least one that I know of, at least one new Slash that is much better than this one. It's a Slash from the Archie comic version, and if you are a fan of Slash, you probably want to grab that one instead, and not the Turtle in Time video game version. Um, but of course, it's up to you. They do look kind of different from each other, so you can have both on your shelf, and they might look like two different creatures. Um, but we'll talk a little bit more about why I think this is an inferior Slash in a little bit. So for Slash, his biography has nothing really complicated, but it is kind of wonky because depending on where he appeared, whether in the game or cartoon or comic book, his origins kind of different. I believe in the comic book he was a mutant alien turtle created by Shredder in Dimension X. Uh, and then in the cartoon, he was a pet turtle of Bebop, and then got mutated into this uh, new acting counterpart to Ninja Turtle. And in the game, we never really had a story for Slash, but in the game where this guy is modeled from, uh, his game stage is like 2 million years BC in prehistoric time, and they called him the Turtlesaurus. So yeah, that's kind of weird. Like I don't know if they meant that he is from ancient time or what's going on there. But yeah, he doesn't have a complicated origin, but he definitely has very different origins depending on which property you're looking at. Now, the hoverboard that this figure is standing on did not come with this figure. This hoverboard actually belonged to Leonardo, but I decided to just leave it in there so it's a little bit higher off the ground level, so it's easier for the camera to pick up. But yeah, do note that the board did not come with this figure. And as some of you can see, this figure, because it's from the Turtle in Time video game, it's modeled like the video game. So this figure is painted with blocky 8-bit color that make it look like those old Super Nintendo video games. Now, while that doesn't actually matter to me, this is one of the advantages of being blind, is I don't really get bothered by what it's painted to look like, as long as it's sculpted to be like Slash, it's fine. Uh, but I imagine it makes these figures look kind of weird on my display, especially when mixed in with cartoon inspired Ninja Turtle figures or comic inspired action figures. So this is one of the primary reasons why I wish that I would have waited for the comic version of the character if I knew they were even going to come up with a comic version of the character. Another reason why I say this version of Slash is the inferior one is because this is actually a bit small. I mean, he's not a small figure per se. He's about the same size as the Ninja Turtles themselves, which is not surprising because the majority of his body parts come from the same body part with Ninja Turtle. He does have a unique looking face, unique looking shell, unique armor attachment, unique weapon, but most from the front, this is actually very similar to Turtles, which is problematic because even though Slash is also a turtle, he's a lot bigger. Like when you see him in the show or how he's usually depicted, he's at least a foot taller than the other turtles, and he's like way bulkier. This is another reason why you should probably get the Archie comic version of this action figure because that one's actually sized properly. That one's actually made big and bulky and as how Slash is supposed to be. Now, the paint deco and the size problem aside, it is still a really good, really fun figure. And, I love Slash. And he just fell over. That wasn't really the figure's fault. I bumped it with my hand. Um, so, as I was saying, it is still a really cool figure if you don't mind the video game color and the smaller size. It is a good figure. Uh, it has a green body, but it's a different shade of green as the rest of the turtles. The shell, it definitely looks different. It has a really spiky shell. It has like 17 individual spikes and blades on it. Really cool looking. The face has this lopsided, crazy looking eyes and sharp mouthful of fangs. And that makes this look like a very aggressive turtle that might just bite the crap out of you. I believe in the game his bandana is supposed to be black, but here the bandana is like the dark blue color. His belt is white, and the other armor pieces on him are purple. He's got spiky knee pad, claws on his feet and hand, and he has this two blades, almost like Shredder, uh, on his wrist. That sort of make him like a Wolverine style turtle, I guess. He also has these rubber shoulder pads that's attached to the outside of his shoulder. Now, those pieces I want to caution you guys on. if you do get this figure, uh, be very careful moving his arms because just now when I was posing him, I already could tell that if you are not careful, those rubber shoulder pads will get torn off if they get pushed against the side of his shell because his shell is very bulky and that kind of when you move his arm, those shoulder pads will rub up against his shell and that kind of a danger breaking point. Uh, Speaking of breaking points, this figure, like a lot of the early Neca action figures, especially the Ninja Turtle action figures, the joints are really gummy. Uh, I don't know what's up with the plastic they used back then, uh, but the plastic when you try to bend the arms and legs, almost feel like they're going to warp and twist and rip apart. Uh, Very uncomfortable feeling. And so when you move the joints on these figures, be very careful how you go about and apply force. For example, excuse the hand, but I'm going to pull the camera back a little so you guys can see this. When you're trying to move his arm out to the side, try not to grab too close to the elbow because if you apply force here, this bicep joint might break off. So rather than grabbing and pinching the arm from close to the elbow, trying to put your pressures closer to the shoulder joint and be very patient with this. Yeah, work it nice and careful like that. Okay, you guys can see that it's very tight. The joints are very tight on these, and you see when I try to move the elbow, it's not moving the joint, but it's flexing the plastic. That's not good. Okay, so be very careful. Again, when you want to bend the elbow, or straighten the elbow, make sure that you use the other hand to secure the bicep so it's not tearing the whole arm off, and just carefully get that to straighten. You want to bend it, be very careful. Okay, so anytime you need to put force on this figure or these early Ninja Turtle action figures, you want to be very cautious. I know I learned that from the hard way because I broke the Splinter action figure when I was showing him on a review. For accessories, Slash really didn't come with much comparing to his old 1990 action figure. But this version, he does come with this little grenade that he can hold in his hand. I don't know why a grenade, because as far as I remember, he's never used a grenade in the video game. He's never used a grenade in the comic book or cartoon. So, yeah, I don't know why a grenade. What does it do? But he can hold it in his hand. Be very careful. It's pretty small, so if it's going on if it fall on the carpet and roll under the sofa, you'll never get it back. Or if your cat get a hold of it, you'll never get it back. Slash also comes with this really cool looking curvy, wavy sword. This is called a Chris blade, and I believe it's Indonesian or Filipino in origin, might be Indonesian. Uh, I actually have a Chris dagger in my training room. I'll show you guys sometime when we do our Tactical Tuesday or Survival Saturday. But yeah, that's what this style of blade is called. Really interesting looking, all curvy and wavy and stuff. And it has a very pitted, rough texture on the side of the blade. So I don't know. I don't know if like he made this out of rock or something, but the blade feels and looks as rough as the character himself. Now, let's bring Leonardo in, and we'll do a quick size comparison. As we can see, Leonardo here basically the same size as Slash, which I already mentioned. It's problematic because Slash is supposed to be a lot bigger than Leonardo. Leonardo here is also painted in that 8-bit video game color, so because they are both from the same video game. And just in case you ever want to display your Ninja Turtles with your Marvel Legends, this is Slash standing next to the 6-inch Captain America, which in this case kind of make Captain America seems huge because Slash is, like I said, too small. Uh, like Slash here, I think is like 5 inches tall, so he is really small next to a standard 6-inch action figure. Now we have here a fish stick from Fortnite. I like to display some of my Fortnite action figures with the Ninja Turtles because a lot of the Fortnite design kind of make me think that they can fit into the Ninja Turtle universe. Just that quirky, really fun, really goofy, cartoonish design like fish stick here. So we can see that standing next to Slash, it works. It's working, you know. Uh, they are roughly the same size. Uh, they're totally different build, but yeah, I can see this working out quite well. So in the end, even though I lament the fact that I probably should have waited to get a better version of Slash, but this is the thing with action figure collection. Sometimes you just don't know. Especially if you're blind like myself. Sometimes for sighted collectors, you guys have a little bit of an advantage because you can look at the back of the box. Sometimes the back of the box will tell you it will have cross cells information on other figures that's going to be coming out. So you look at that and you know, oh, we are going to get a this, and that figure. That will help you make your decision better. But for someone who collecting blind like myself, well, I don't have that luxury. So I sometimes have to just take a gamble and hoping that I am getting the good version of the character, not knowing what's going to come out later. But in the end, I still really love this action figure of Slash. Bring me back to some fun childhood memory of playing the Turtle in Time video game with my brothers and collecting Ninja Turtle action figures, watching Ninja Turtle action. I watching Ninja Turtle cartoon in the morning and then before rushing off to school. Thank you for checking out today's Figurine Friday. We'll be back again a little bit later for some Fitness Friday.